Hello, everybody, and welcome to our World Day Against Witch Hunts expert panel. Thank you so much for being here, everyone, all the panelists as well as the attendees. I'm Josh Hutchinson. I'm the co-founder of the End Witch Hunts nonprofit out of the United States.
Hi, I'm Sarah Jack. I'm also a co-founder of the nonprofit End Witch Hunts, and we are honored that all of you have joined us today to learn about the experiences of survivors and those working to support them.
And I'm Mary Bingham, co-founder of End Witch Hunts. The three of us share personal connection to this work. We are all descendants of people accused of witchcraft in Salem of 1692.
And today, our expert panelists are Belinda Arikie Asumanua. I apologize if I say any of these off. Belinda is the campaigns and communication coordinator for Amnesty International of Ghana. We appreciate her coming. Genevieve Partington is the country director for Amnesty International Ghana. Thank you. Lamnatu Adam is executive director of Songtaba. John Kna is the country director of ActionAid Ghana. Peter Minter Amadou is executive director and psychologist at Total Life Enhancement Center in Ghana. And John Azuma, PhD, is the executive director of the Sana Institute. Thank you all for coming.
End Witch Hunts is a nonprofit dedicated to educating the public about both historical and contemporary witchcraft persecution. We raise awareness about harmful practices related to accusations of witchcraft and sorcery and ritual attacks through public awareness campaigns, our podcast conversations with advocates, academics, and leaders involved in the cause.
Before we hear from our incredible panel of experts, let's understand what survivors of witchcraft accusations face around the world.
Witchcraft accusations are still a major problem with devastating consequences for victims, including physical violence, social ostracization, economic deprivation, psychological trauma, and even death.
Harmful practices related to accusations of witchcraft are cases when someone harms another person whom they suspect has bewitched them, their kin or their property. Women, children, the elderly, and people with disabilities are disproportionately targeted.
In 2021, the UN Human Rights Council adopted historic resolution 47/8 on the elimination of harmful practices related to accusations of witchcraft and ritual attacks. The first resolution of its kind calling for a holistic approach to addressing these violations across the globe.
This brings us to why we're here today. World Day Against Witch Hunts is observed every August 10th. Started by Missio in 2020, the day serves to draw attention to the global crisis of harmful practices related to accusations of witchcraft and ritual attacks.
Now let's hear from our expert panelists who work directly with survivors in Ghana and are creating real change. Panelists, when you begin to share, can you state your name for everyone in attendance?
The first question is for the Amnesty panel. Can you tell us about Amnesty International Ghana and what led you to launch this Branded for Life research project?
Hi, thank you very much for the wonderful introduction that you did. I appreciate the work that has gone into this. So my name is Belinda Adikia Samanwa. I'm the Campaigns and Communications Coordinator for Amnesty International Ghana. So yes, Amnesty International is a global movement of more than 10 million people. Our headquarters is in the United Kingdom in London, where we have been working to champion the rights of people all over the world. Amnesty International is the leading human rights organizations in the world, and we are in over 176 countries worldwide. In Africa, we have our headquarters based, the like regional head office for West Africa based in Senegal, and then we have another regional head office in Kenya. So in Ghana, we are a part of the regional, the Western region, the Western region side of Amnesty International, the West African region, I mean. So in Ghana, we have been doing a lot of work uh, on witchcraft accusations. The campaign didn't start now. It started, in fact, a lot of years ago. In fact, if I should say, in Amnesty International Ghana, we are already 52 years. So Amnesty International Ghana was founded somewhere in 1973. So you could tell, you should know that, like, it tells you like the work that Amnesty International has done in Ghana all over these 52 years. And obviously the witchcraft accusations campaign, the anti-witchcraft accusations campaign has been largely a part of the work that we do at Amnesty International Ghana. But before I tell you what actually moved us to continue working on witchcraft accusations, let me just take you through the areas of work of Amnesty International in Ghana. So at Amnesty International, we work with two strategic priority areas. Priority one is the freedom of expression and civic space, and then the priority two is on equality and non-discrimination. Now, when it comes to the equality, the freedom of expression and civic space, which is the first priority of our work in Ghana, we are looking at protests and strengthening the right to peaceful assembly, where we ensure that we train young people, we train our staff, we train we train people who are likely to go on protests with the purpose of securing the right to peaceful assembly and ensuring that journalists are able to freely air their views in Ghana. When it comes to the same project, we have the Protect the Protest campaign, where we ensure to crack down on protests or cracking down on police intervention during protests where they abuse people who are actually freeing their mind, speaking about national issues, where, over the years, we've had protests being a form of, like protest has been like a form of abuse for citizens that go out on the street to, talk about the issues that concern them. So the Protect the Protest campaign is actually, it's actually a project that Amnesty International has set up to ensure that we promote freedom of expression in Ghana. When it comes to priority two, which is the equality and non-discrimination part of Amnesty International Ghana, that is where we have our witchcraft accusations project, where we are looking at criminalizing witchcraft accusations in Ghana. And then in the long run, we are also looking at the protection of women who are, especially elderly women who are accused of witchcraft in Ghana. Under this same equality and non-discrimination side, we look at promoting gender, racial, and then intersectional justice, where we have our sexual and gender-based violence campaign, where we ensure that the rights of women and children or the rights of people are protected. And then we are also working to ensure that we reduce gender-based violence in Ghana. So under this as well, we also have the menstrual hygiene management project, where we are seeking to, we are advocating for the complete tax exemption on sanitary products in Ghana, as well as raising awareness on the impact of period poverty. When it comes to our flexible areas of work, we are looking at ending the death penalty in Ghana, which has been the long-term campaign that Amnesty International has been running over the years. We also have prison reform works, where we look at increasing, our target is looking at increasing like the feeding grant for prisoners in Ghana. And then for our expected outcome, we are looking at increasing public awareness, especially when it comes to arrest, detention, and other things, and as well as legal support for victims of abuse as well. So just in a nutshell, Amnesty International Ghana has been working around these areas, and then other reactive work that we do, especially around LGBT rights as well. We do all of these work that in Amnesty International Ghana. Now, to why we actually decided to do to launch a report or a research project on the witchcraft accusations. We named it the Branded for Life. I'm just going to put the link to our report here so that everyone listening can have access to the report. So, okay, so I just put it there. Great. So I just shared the link to our Branded for Life research report. So, over the years, in fact, Amnesty International has been campaigning against witchcraft accusations in Ghana, but what we have been doing this for more than 20 years. But what actually really struck us to take our time and then re-strategize on the campaign that we were running was when Madame Ekuadente was an old woman who was lynched in Kafaba in the northern regions of Ghana, where two young ladies accused her of being a witch, and their reason was that she was not letting their lives prosper or something of that sort. And it became a real national issue where these two women brought her to the town square, and then lynched her and beat her to death. In fact, she was actually dragged from her home all the way through the streets and brought to the town square. People gathered, and then these two women, and I think there are other people that also supported with the beatings. I believe once Sontaba is here, they can give us more details into what actually happened, because they are actually in the northern side of Ghana. And these women actually beat her, lynched her so bad that she lost her life. And it really became an issue of concern in Ghana. And then Amnesty International had to really sit down and re-strategize on how best we can save these older women who are accused of witchcraft. So when it happened like that, Amnesty International decided to sit with our stakeholders like Sontaba here. We have Action Aid as well. They came in, we spoke to Honorable Francis Xavier Sosu as well. At that time, I believe he was already working with Action Aid and Sontaba on the Criminal Offences Act to reduce to introduce to criminalize the witchcraft accusation. So there was a bill that was already in the process. And I think Action Aid really did a lot of great work on that bill. I remember when we went to Koforidua. Koforidua is the capital of one of our regions in Ghana, with the Constitutional Parliamentary and Legal Affairs Committee. We had to actually sit down and then look at the draft bill that we wanted to propose to Parliament to criminalize witchcraft accusations. And the criminalization was not just about just giving them like a penalty or like a sentence, but to actually also look at the broader perspective of the people that are actually causing the abuses. For instance, we're looking at like the women, like families of the accused. We're also looking at like the witch doctors that were in some of these communities, because it stemmed from like some witch doctors saying that they have some women going to witch doctors thinking that the witch doctors have told them that this person is actually delaying their lives in Ghana and other things. So the penalty actually spread to all these categories of people who are likely to accuse people of witches. Even pastors were part of this proposed bill. So it was really a lot of work that Amnesty International decided to partner with our stakeholders. And then the good news was that we actually had time to visit these camps and then take time to have like the first-hand knowledge or first-hand like view of what is actually happening in the camps, and to listen to the women for them to tell us their stories firsthand, so that we document it and then give a recommendation to the government of Ghana. So this is actually what came about that made Amnesty International really put in a lot of effort in developing our Branded for Life research project. Thank you.
Thank you, Belinda. That was really wonderful. We would really love to understand more about them as individuals. These are women or children with names and lives, and you started this research project you go to the camp where they're surviving. How did you build trust with them, and how did they share their stories with you? What was that like?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very happy you mentioned the issue of trust because it was very important for us to have them understand the work that Amnesty International is doing in Ghana. So even before we went to the camps to embark on the project, we actually spoke to our partners because our partners, for instance, Sontaba, they really supported us in this project. They understand the language of the women. So we didn't know the northern languages, but I mean, obviously some of them understood English and a little bit of the local dialect, which is Tree. However, in order to build the trust for them to tell us their stories, we partnered with Sontaba, and then they were like a support to us. They spoke to the women or the leadership of the camps to understand that Amnesty International has been in existence for some time. We are credible organizations, and then their stories, when they tell us their stories, they are able to have a report or a record of the documented of the documents. How do I say, like the documented reports from Amnesty International, and then share with them as well. We were also able to speak with the leadership of the chiefs, the leadership of the camps as well as the chiefs of the communities, because it's very important. In project management, we say community entry is like a very important part of our work. So with all these rounds that we are done, it was easier for us to go to the camps and then speak with the women. And trust me, when we got to the camps, they hosted us beautifully. They had especially in the Gambaga camp, they were actually even seated waiting for us, singing and sharing. They have a very wonderful chant that they sing, when they visit people. So it was very easy. And then our researchers were also very experienced. So we made it clear to the women that in order for them to tell us their stories, this is actually what we are using their stories for. And this is how we are going to document their stories. And through that, it was very easy for the women to talk to us. In fact, there was a point that some of the women, even after talking to them, we still ask them, do you really want to share your story? If they say no, then we do not share their story. But to be told, we actually had a great number of women sharing their stories, which really helped us in documenting our Branded for Life reports. Thank you.
The women, the stories that you're talking about of the women, they had these stories that sparks these accusations. What surprised you most about their experiences, and how did listening to their voices help you to understand what was really going on?
Well, thank you so much. So what really surprised us during the research, in fact, for me, it was the fact that most of these accusations were done by women. And it's so sad to know that, because like a lot of the women that rushed to the camps to seek refuge and to seek comfort, most of them, in a way, they were either accused by some family member who is like a female. They were accused by like, especially most of them, especially like their co-wives. Like it's a Muslim community at that time, or let's say a northern community where people are allowed to marry, men are allowed to marry like 2, 3, or 4 wives. Some of them were accused by like their co-wives, who accused them of maybe killing their children or their sons, or trying to kill them in dreams. And in fact, one of the surprising part was like people who had like dreamt, like some women just dream, and then they just assume that this person wants to kill them, and then they just brand them a witch, and then they just find themselves running to the camp for rescue. So these are some of the things that really surprised us about the stories that the women told us. Yes.
Thank you so much. Let's talk about some stories of hope. What keeps these women going despite everything that they've lost?
Well, speaking with the women, some of the women, what they told us was that the fact that they are able to get a shelter at these camps, the fact that they are able to also get food, and the fact that they are able to get water as well, because these are very basic necessities for human life. And then for them, getting this shelter, getting the livelihood is actually something that they really cherish, because back home they were not fed well, and then some of them, because of the way the accusals happened, they had to like rush somewhere to seek to seek shelter. And to surprise you, some of them actually had to walk like about 10, 20 kilometers, if I'm exaggerating, just to come to the camps, because from their community to the camp is very far, and they may not even have enough money for transport. So like they had to like walk all the way to the camps, go to the chiefs of the communities and then beg them to help them so that they can have their livelihood. So for me, I say what keeps them going is the fact that they had the shelter, they had the food, they had water, and at least they had a sound mind to some extent. Because obviously, if you are accused of witchcraft, there's no like 100% sound mind, because it's a very sad thing. But the fact that they met women who also shared similar stories of witchcraft accusations, they share their stories together, and the fact that they are able to comfort each other at these times is actually what really kept them going.
What kind of change for the people in these camps can come from this research and from what's being learned about their experience?
Okay, so when it comes to the kind of change that we can get from these camps, let me just surprise you, because when we spoke to the women, especially about they moving back home, most of them did not want to go back home. They preferred staying in the camps, because in the camps, nobody accuses them of being witches. And then most of them in the camps, they are at least, they have, especially now, let me explain to you. In the Gambaga camp, they have it's a well-structured community. Now in the Gambaga camp, like it's like almost every woman has their own hut. So in their hut, they have everything that they need in the hut. Now, if they should go back home, probably they may not even have the hut to themselves. They may be asked to sleep outside or somewhere. Or it will even surprise you that even their own family members may not want to receive them anymore. So when it comes to these changes, most of them really want to live in the camps, but what they want to see rather in terms of change is like proper maybe good feeding for them, enough health insurance that will cater for their ailments, because most of them are old, so some of them may need surgeries for some other ailments. Others may need like extensive medical care where the national health insurance may not be able to cover, because I understand the health insurance covers like malaria and then headaches and then stomach aches. It doesn't like cover like the critical ailment that the women may have. So when it comes to change, we may talk about maybe the government is giving the women special care when it comes to their health. And then secondly, too, I think that in terms of change, we should have like a well-coordinated awareness campaign, honestly speaking, because for me, that is like one of the things that really speaks to me. Because if we have this awareness campaign on challenging cultural and then societal practices, discrimination against these women will reduce drastically. So if you look at our recommendation in Amnesty International's Branded for Life report, the recommendation at the page 61, we've mentioned two different sets of recommendations. So I've shared the link to the report. We have the preventive measures recommendations, as well as the justice and reparation separation part, changes part. So these are some of the changes that we are looking at. And obviously, they have a program called the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty Program. And this program is actually it's like some kind of funds allocated to these women to support their daily lives. So the government gives them, like, for instance, if it's like a woman who has, like an elderly woman I think it's about 182 cedis or 150 cedis per month, which is woefully inadequate because that's like less than $10 for the whole month to spend on. So if we are looking at changes, maybe then the government should really rather come in and increase this funding for the women so that they can have very good, in at least enough funds to support their livelihoods in this camp. So these are like the three things that I'll mention. But above all, we have a number of recommendations that Amnesty International has mentioned in our Grounded for Life reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Amnesty International. Now for our next panel of participants from the Coalition Against Witchcraft Accusations. Can you tell us what is that Coalition Against Witchcraft Accusations? Thank you.
Any of our coalition participants who would like to address that, please feel free to share.
Yeah, well, the coalition was formed after the lynching of Madame Equia Dente, and in 2020, we formed a coalition led by the Sana Institute, and we brought a number of partners on board, but it kind of fizzled away, and then we reconvened it again in 2022 with alongside Action Aid, and so Sana Institute and Action Aid Ghana re-energized that whole thing again from 2022, and it was about bringing organizations and NGOs working in the area of human rights, but also gender-based violence and violence against women, and specifically on this issue around witchcraft accusation. So we brought this coalition together again and re-energized it in 2022, going into 2023, when we again mainly Sana Institute and Action Aid Ghana spearheaded the campaign for the bill to be passed. So when we relaunched it in 2022, it was focused based mainly on the bill to get a legislation passed that will criminalize witchcraft accusation. So it has brought a number of organizations together on the same kind of platform to kind of campaign against witchcraft accusation. But these organizations are fairly independent. They do their own thing independently. But then we come together once in a while to do events together. But in terms of the bill itself, as I said, it was Action Aid Ghana and the Sana Institute that sponsored the bill, that campaigned for the bill, and that saw to the passing of the bill in July 2023.
Thank you so much. And continuing with you, Dr. Azuma, can you tell us about the women and children that you work with in the camps? Who are they and what are their biggest needs?
Well, with the women and the children that we work with in the camps, we started the work there following the accusations, as I said. But before that, even before the lynching, I was personally involved with a family level. My first cousin was accused of witchcraft accusation in our family. And I was fighting that on the personal level before July 2020 when the lynching happened. And so when the lynching happened, we kind of decided to conduct research into this whole issue. And we visited the camps, all the 6 camps. There are 6 camps currently in the northern part of the Ghana. And by the way, I come from the northern part, so I know that area very well. So we visited those camps, and we sat with the women, with the children, who are their minders, and also with the traditional priests, who are the managers of the camp, and we met some of the chiefs also, who are the traditional rulers of the area. So we did a lot of research into the phenomenon there during 2021. And that was when we identified some of the needs. We met some of the children who are in school. Most of them were school-going age. And we worked with the Presbyterian Go Home project. The Presbyterian Church of Ghana has a project called Go Home. And the Go Home, it was the literal meaning, or the original meaning is actually Gambaga Outcast Home. Gambaga Outcast Home. And this was started in 1960s, the work. So the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, which I am a member, has been working in this area for a long time, since the 1960s. So we work with them, and we facilitate helping some of the children go to school. We have provided some education materials through the Go Home project in the past for some of the children, but also we've also provided help with water, borehole drilling. This was a borehole repairs. They had a borehole that was damaged, and we helped fix it for them. We helped also with some of the needs for the women in terms of just their daily basic needs. But we got to a point that we made the assessment that most of the women that we worked with, we realized that their presence in the camp was not in their long-term interest. And so we challenged them, those who can go back home and reintegrate safely, they should let us know, and we will support them to do that. So we switched our help, not completely, our support mainly to helping reintegration, towards reintegration. So we work with the Go Home project. They help the women, they go and do the sensitization in the villages, and then those that they are deemed to be safe enough to go back, we support. And we've been able to find shelter for these women back in their communities. Where it's not safe for them to go to their communities, we ask them to find space, room somewhere that is safe for them, and we'll pay the rent. And these are very small amounts of money. And we're able to support them with the rent, and then give them something small for them to start their lives. So even though we still help in the camps, it's very minimal, because the camps are kind of a double-edged sword. There's a lot of abuse going on in the camps. There's a lot of sexual abuse. There's the Gambaga camp that has been mentioned several times. It's one of the places that a lot of abuse is going on. Some of the minors have been raped and impregnated and forced to go through abortions. And that is horrifying. Now, when you visit there just for a few hours and you leave, you wouldn't know the stories. And so when you come there and the women are telling you, we don't want to go home, it's all part of the kind of the way that the camp managers have trained the women to say things when visitors are around. And yes, some of them are really scared to go home. But a lot of them, when you ask them the follow-up question, how many of you would want your children to come to this place? They will say, God forbid, we don't even want our enemies to come here, let alone our children. So you see that the women themselves are conflicted. They have the managers who are watching over their shoulders. They have to say things that will please their managers, because if you don't say the right things, and then the visitors leave, you're in trouble. So those are the challenges that we have working with in the camps. But the women and the kids that we have helped, we mainly focus towards reintegration, and we work with the Presbyterian Go Home project.
Thank you so much, Dr. Azuma. Is there anything else we need to understand about overcoming the rejection that they feel and that, that puts them into the life that they haven't asked for, and the supporting them through the rejection that they've experienced.
Yeah, that is something that we found to be very, very strong. The sense of rejection is even one of the reasons why some of the women don't want to go back home. Some of them are very angry. They feel betrayed. They are feeling a sense of rejection by their own families. So they are like, why do I even want to go back to this family that have rejected me and kicked me out for all these years? They've betrayed. Some of them are people that these women have supported, and they've turned against them. So that sense of bitterness and anger and sense of rejection is all part of the management that we need, with the help of the Go Home Project, to talk to them, to take them through that kind of process, through counseling. And the Presbyterian Church has got, as part of their work, has had church service, pastoral counseling as part of their work there. So it's not just providing material help, but pastoral support. And there's a pastor there who is a trained pastor who is working very closely with the women. And as I'm speaking now, we have a female pastor there who is working with them. So she understands their fears, she knows their villages, she knows their relatives, and she engages them to work it through. Sometimes the family will come back and apologize. We've had instances where the family who have accused these women have come to apologize to the women and ask for forgiveness. And then reconciliation takes place, they do some pacifications, and they go home. But even that, one of the things we need to be mindful of is also that, especially in most of these camps, before the woman can leave, they have to perform a ritual to leave. Now, it used to be a nominal thing of a chicken and just some little amount of money. But now it has become very extortionist. They are charged so much. If you go to Gambaga, the last time I checked, just about a week ago, they are now charging about 1,500 to 2,000 cedis. And that is about how much in dollars? Around $200. Now, many of these women cannot afford that. And so to get that money and to get a ram and to get a chicken and to get other things before they can be let go. So all of these factors are there that we need to know, that the camps are money-making entities for the camp managers. And as long as we keep financing the camps and making it a nice place for the women to stay, we are just feeding into the business of these camp managers. And that's where the dilemma is. How do you help the women without perpetuating this kind of abuse and exploitation that is going on?
Thank you very much, Dr. Azuma. Now let's turn to Songtaba. And what are the stories of these survivors that Songtaba supports?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Lamnatu Adam. I work at Songtaba as the executive director. Songtaba is a women's rights advocacy organization, and we've been working in the camp in the last 20 years. And we've worked closely with Action Aid Ghana. I think that before I come to that, I want to say that at the regional level, we had what we call the Regional Reintegration Committee, which was birthed in 2010. But then we just worked with actors within the region. And I think that is where we saw the need to have the coalition with Prof. Azuma and Action Aid, so that beyond the organizations that are working at the regional level, we have other human rights organizations supporting us at the work here in the North. And so that's just a little bit to the history of CAWA. As an organization, we are committed to securing basic rights for women and girls, especially aged women. And I think that our mission aligned with ActionAid Ghana when we started in 2005, and they partnered us and are still partnering with us whilst we work there. I was listening to my lady from Amnesty, Belinda, and then as she mentioned, sometimes due to a dream that somebody has, it is enough to let a woman leave her community because she's seen in a dream, probably. And sometimes also when a child of another family member is sick or has died suddenly, then they try to find out who did it. And many times it falls on the elderly at home. And so usually when accusations happen, the women at the time are very devastated and they are quite depressed and very traumatized. So as an organization, one of the things we do is to give them support services towards finding justice, where we link them to the institutions that are responsible or mandated for human rights issues, like a Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, like the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit, and then also like the social welfare. So when women are accused, these are the number one thing we are looking at is for their safety first, and then also how we link them to get support services. But beyond that, women who are accused also come individually at the camp, and sometimes they become so depressed. And so we let them find support among themselves, where we try to mobilize them and build their capacity, not to feel dejected, because a lot of them, when they are making their comment, they are like, I feel like dying, I feel like killing myself. And so we let them see that it is not just you, somebody else somewhere has also been accused. So we build their capacity in such a way that we also let them have an interface or engagement with the district assemblies, especially at the locations where these camps are. And so you see that the leadership of the Ngani alleged witches camp would engage with the district assembly, because the district assembly has the foremost responsibility to ensure that their living at the camp is respected. And so the stories of the women, especially when it comes to an accusation that has resulted from the death of another person, our most priority is having the woman safe at first. What we also support, beyond linking them to access justice, is how we also work with the traditional authorities and the religious authorities, because many a time accusations surface because they have consulted some witch doctor, they have consulted some religious pastor or imam who have said that, look, this has happened because of another person's doing. So some of the work that we support also has to do with conscientizing, some of the key stakeholders to appreciate that they have their belief, but then also their belief should not deny people from enjoying their human rights. So we do sensitizations at the community level, where we look at witchcraft accusation and its associated rights violations, and we work with these key actors, as I have talked about. But one of the services we are trying to push currently is what we call the one-stop center, where we are getting centers that can, support sorry about that, where we're trying to get the services at one place, because many a time you notice that because of distance and because of drudgery, a lot of the cases come and people are even reluctant to go and seek the service. So one of the things we are pushing now is to have a one-stop center where if somebody is accused, there's a police, there's a hospital the person can attend, especially if the person has some injuries, and then there is Shraj who can also process some of the mediation issues. If that is if we've not found criminal issues, but now we are also pushing for the criminalization aspect of witchcraft, which I believe Prof. Azuma have talked about, where we are pushing for the anti-witchcraft bill to be passed. But above all, what we do, especially with women who are also accused, is supporting their reintegration. And I think jointly with the reintegration committee, we have actually reintegrated more than 200 women who we do monitor once a while to see how they are faring. So largely, this is what we do. We do sensitizations at community level, and to stop the accusations and the inflow of the women into the camps. And then also for women who are accused, we support to build their capacity, we support their livelihood program, we support their reintegration program, and we support their access to justice program, where we link them to the service providers.
Thank you so much for discussing the programs that Songtaba offers. What does it take to support you in your mission to implement these programs?
Well, if you look at the reintegration, for example, I would say that is very hectic. Before you get one woman reintegrated, you need to do a lot of traveling in and out to be sure that the community of choice where the woman wishes to be reintegrated fully accepts, her. And also for you to ensure that there's no reaccusation. And so this process is quite hectic and very capital intensive, because many times the women who are accused do not wish to go back to the same community. They want to go back to another community. And after you do the profiling at the camp, it's not enough for you to say go. Then you have to start again, talking with the community and family members for them to also kickstart the process. And then sometimes the woman is not just sent home empty-handed. Prof. Azuma have mentioned there have to be some cleansing that is supposed to be done at the camp, which will involve bring a ram, bring some whatever. I mean, a whole lot of money and other resources that are needed. And so one of the things for me is funds, for example, to support all of these processes. But what is also needed for our work is for us to have the anti-witchcraft bill passed, because when it is passed, it then makes sure that nobody has the tendency to label somebody a witch or label somebody or name somebody. And then it also befalls on the accuser, to then prove whether the person is accusing is really a witch or not. And if you look at this bill, it also proposes some kind of support, counseling, support to the survivor or victim of such an accusation. So it is good that the witchcraft accusation bill, the anti-witchcraft bill is passed. It is also important that we get the buy-in, because this is quite deep-seated, and we need communities to appreciate that in as much as they have their belief, they should also see how their belief is also hindering, people of getting access to justice. But we also need the international support, and we're happy that you are creating spaces like this for our voice to be heard. And I was surprised again when you guys were speaking and you were all coming from the experiences of either one of your relation or other have been accused. And it is not also very different here, because for some of the women at the camp also, they were originally not those who were accused. Some of them have either supported their mother whilst their mother was at the camp and has passed, and the person is not able to go back because there's the belief that, the person has quite inherited the spirit of witchcraft. And so funding, yes, it's good to have funding to be able to spread deep, to scale some of the things that are working, and then also to do a lot of sensitizations. And then also help us to do proper reintegration of the women at the camp. But like I said, we also need other people to be on board. I think in the last 20 years or so, there were just a few of us talking about witchcraft accusation. It was just about Sontaba Action Aid, But now we are seeing more people coming into the space. Prof. Azuma is there, Amnesty is there, and we are supporting. I think that all of us collectively, when we put our efforts together, we'll be able to make a headway towards that. Yeah. But then also the other need is yes, in as much as we are looking at reintegration, which is a strategy towards the closure, we are also looking at what else can the women who are there now do? Because if you look at the research that we did in 2022, which talked about depression and then women at the camp, the findings were that about 52% of these women are suffering from severe depressions, and about 90% of them also were having low quality of life. I'll post the link there for people who want to further read this. So yes, the camps are safe havens, but they are not the most comfortable for anybody to be there. And I agree with Prof. You hear women say, we want to be here. It is not because they love the place. It is because they are uncertain whether when they go back, their life will be spared. Nobody will want to be in the camp if he's assured that at home she'll be better. If you look at the ages of the women, more than 80% of them are beyond age, 60 years. At this age and at home, they would have had the family support. But at this age, they are there alone. Some of them are going there with the grandchildren. And for me, that's another concern again, because what is then the fate of these grandchildren? Are they going to suffer the same stigma, the low quality of life at the camp? And sometimes even getting food to eat is a big challenge. And that's another concern we may have to look at, because every child has the right to live with the family and to live in a protective environment. Beyond the women who are accused, let's just look at the injustice that is also being done with these women. So we need that collective voice to collectively look at the issues of witchcraft accusation beyond just the camp, to look at these other associated issues that comes with witchcraft accusations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lamnatu from Sangbada. Now we're going to move over to Action Aid, to John. John, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then could you tell us how Action Aids work directly with excuse me, I'm going to say that again. Can you tell us how Action Aids work directly with survivors, and how the women and children tell you what they need to feel safe and dignified?
Right. Sarah, thank you very much. I must say that I'm happy to be here. And from all the discussions, nearly all of them have been mentioning Action Aid, Action Aid, Action Aid. That tells you the fundamental groundbreaking work that Action Aid has done on the alleged witches, camps. And if you like, even alleged witches accusation and molestation. Action Aid started its own development experience in Ghana since the 1990s. And as part of our work, we were traditionally a service delivery organization. And because of the way Action Aid came in as an organization that targets the very vulnerable in society, the very poor in society, The organization started in the northernmost part of Ghana called Boku, where Professor Zuma comes from. And so based on that level of working closely with the people, ActionAid soon understood that many development paradigms cannot be broken by just service delivery, because there are some of the constraints or challenges of society, particularly in the very hard to reach areas and poverty-stricken communities, goes beyond just service provision. So for example, ActionAid as a learning, collaboration, adoption organization soon realized that issues of poverty is centered around powerlessness of people, particularly the very poor people, particularly because people's vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities in this regard, based on ActionAid vulnerability analysis, soon found out that one of the most poorest people in the poverty bracket is people accused of witchcraft. And so based on the learnings of ActionAid from the ground, traditionally from service provisions, provision of schools, health facilities, irrigation dams, humanitarian services, ActionAid soon realized that it matters most to work with community-based organizations that are evolving from the community, such as Sungtaba. And so Sungtaba was just a community-based organization, but had community rootedness. And so ActionAid, because of a shift in strategy, started working with organizations like Sungtaba, NOSAC, and the rest, building their own institutional and adaptive capacities to be able to identify the vulnerabilities that go beyond just poverty alleviation. And so Sungtaba was one of the organizations that helped in our first groundbreaking research and learning around the alleged witches camps. And so based on that, the recommendation then evolved that to be able to break poverty and vulnerability around the Nanumba North and the northernmost part of northern regions, there was the need for ActionAid to rebalance its development approach by funding organizations like Sungtaba and building their own capacity to be able to conduct the researches to make sure that we apply the human rights-based approach to make or popularize the issues of the vulnerability of alleged witches. And so this then laid the superstructure of the work that we did with Sungtaba, which led to the lesson learning that Hajia Lamna is talking about. We soon realized that it's not just providing wash facilities, water, or solar-powered water systems in the camps, but for us to be able to sustainably address the issues of the vulnerabilities, there must be the redistribution of power. And that distribution of power then means that we have to bring on board people that are affected by witchcraft directly at the center of the discussions or the decision-making table. But how could you do so? You needed a multi-stakeholder mechanism wherein evidence-based research would attract the decision makers. So, for example, we needed to bring the Department of Women, Children, and Social Protection. We needed to bring the Northern Regional House of Chiefs on the table. We needed to bring even the police, DOPSU. And so the reintegration committee was formed as a result of research that was a testament that we needed to elevate the policy discussions around working with people affected by alleged witch accusations. And so from the traditional level of providing services, there was the need to elevate the discussion to policy influence, bringing on board policymakers to elevate the discussion beyond the very rural community level that we have been looking at. And so the reintegration committee then came into being. But then the concept was, how could we then break down the issue of alleged witches camps? Because that was where the abuses were being enhanced. And we heard that from Professor Zuma, where he has spoken about a lot of research that testifies that. You heard from Amnesty that testifies that. And so At that level, the research was pointing to the fact that we needed to disband or work with communities to disband the alleged witches camps, and that helped a lot the reintegration committee, which Songtaba and ActionAid and all the Kawa, alliance is seeking to further develop, is looking at how do we elevate the whole concept around even looking at the livelihoods of people accused of alleged witchcraft. Because if you are trying to reintegrate them back home, what will they be doing at home? How do they survive beyond the fear? And so the issue of psychosocial support, their well-being, livelihood security, how we are building a multi-stakeholder relationship with the Department of Security, supporting with the traditional authorities, led to this integral, integrated approach, which has helped in now popularizing the whole issue of alleged witches and bringing the cross multi-stakeholders, leading us to really even argue that just disbanding the camps alone will not work, as Lamna stated, and there was the need for some form of affirmative action, which led to us sponsoring the private members bill with a lot of funds to be able to bring us to the passage of the bill. That notwithstanding, the bill, collapsed, but there's renewed energy under the Kawa Alliance that we are working with, because Professor Zuma, as Lamna said, then came in with a lot of research backbone, and that has helped to elevate the issues around alleged witches, and that has attracted national priority. And so if you're asking the question of what is needed, beyond the resources, the funding that Lamnati is talking about, we need to be able to institutionalize this coalition, which is made of a more multi-stakeholder relationship. We need to be able to deepen our own research around what is working, what is not working. And that is where ActionAid comes in here. We have to bring institutions that are learning, adapting, and relearning to be able to ensure that we are getting a policy or a legislative framework that will not only depend on the UN resolution that we are talking about, but Ghana's own legislative framework to give backing to the issues and the struggles of alleged witches in a manner that will secure and guarantee their lives while reinforcing their health rights, their education rights, and also, if you like, their security for us to build a more sustainable country. Thank you.
Thank you. You pretty much have answered my question, but I'm going to rephrase it just a little bit, because it's amazing how you were able to get the grassroots going and getting all these communities in to help empower you to be able to work with the survivors. Would you have an example of any of those survivor stories where the women have been impacted so far on all the hard work that you have done for them?
Yeah, so thank you very much. This would have been very good for Songtaba, but I can answer it. As I told you, Songtaba has been our operational arm in terms of how we directly work with the alleged witches. But in the disband of this alleged witches camps, one of the strong lessons, and as a matter of fact, I led in disbanding one of them. I guess that was Nabuli. In the Nabuli setup, I then came into direct confrontation in terms of how civil society organizations can help alleged witches have a sigh of relief. One of those was the livelihood skills training that ActionAid, working through Songtaba, was able to support them in terms of catering services, in terms of engaging agriculture as a business, while implementing what we call the agroecology practices, engaging in, for example, producing vegetables organically and creating the market opportunities for them. But as I said, as you go through to even look at this livelihood security that we supported the community alleged witches to acquire, one of the significant gaps was how will they be tooled? What will be the startup parts? Because giving them the skills and recognizing that they are not, they are resource less endowed, how do we empower them? And so that led to us working quite closely with other stakeholders, especially including the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, and if you like, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, that then came in, and that led to the integration or the integrated approach, where we're able to also source for funding from the Australian Embassy to be able to provide a lot of, startup packs, for this, some of the alleged witches to go back, engage in catering services, engage in agriculture as a business. But then it was not without challenges further, because they go to the communities and the issue of stereotyping. The woman is selling rice, selling food at the community. Who wants to go and buy the food of a witch? In quotes. And so that level of stereotype posed a big challenge. And that is how the reintegration committee and the community-rooted work had to be reinforced and intensified to, lead to behavioral change in the communities. And that is how that supported some of the alleged witches who engaged in livelihood security processes, were able to scale over some of these challenges, but even to promote how sustainable even other development organizations can learn from that concept and approach. And so it was an integrated approach where some of them up to date are engaged in livelihood security, selling in their communities, engaging in agriculture service provision, vegetable production, sales and marketing and processing. And that is one way to guarantee some of them having secure livelihood in their communities and reconnecting with their families. I think that was a very impactful, life-changing experience that were shared by some of them, which is worth sharing. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that answer. The next question is for TOLEC, the Total Life Enhancement Center. For you, Peter, hello, it's good to see you. Can you tell us about the survivors that TOLEC has worked with and what kind of support they're needing?
Thank you very much. Good evening to every member who has logged in today, telling us the energy and the passion that we all do have towards seeing that these women are living a dignified life. I will want to put into a little perspective who TOLEC is before I go into answering your question in brief. So Total Life Enhancement Center, Ghana, is a psychology-focused organization advocating for mental health and providing psychological services based in the northern region of Ghana. So what we do is to say that we are a mental health and a psychosocial support service institution. And what we have been doing span around the northern Ghana, that is the 5 regions of the north, but with some specific programmatic areas that I will want to speak of, focusing on the youth, women, and the underprivileged in our society. TOLEC was established on the 5th of June, 2018. And so we just celebrated our 7th anniversary in June this year. TOLEC functions in 4 thematic areas or 4 areas. Advocacy, and our advocacy is on mental health. Raising awareness and influencing policy for better mental health care is one of the areas that we are focusing on. Therapy, providing professional psychological and counseling services to individuals. Projecting, basically trying to, as much as possible, to raise funds to be able to engage in most of these activities. And above all, training. We are also engaged in training to ensure that many young people understand what mental health is and then can be able to champion mental health in their own way. Our thematic areas are advocacy, psychological provision, counseling services, emotional intelligence and management, livelihood empowerment, and above all, mental health research. As I already said, we work with youth, women, and the marginalized. And among the marginalized are these women that have been accused of witchcraft, have been isolated, can no longer benefit from the labor of the, of the labors of their youthfulness, especially the children that they were able to bring forth. And now today, somebody thinks that this woman cannot stay in the community. So these are another, it's a group that we work with. We also work with prison inmates. And so we have implemented mental health and psychosocial support in prison across northern Ghana and the middle belt of Ghana. And then we have also worked with youth with substance-related issues. So currently, as it stands now in the northern part of Ghana, we are one organization that stands very clearly championing substance abuse prevention programs, targeting youth and the vulnerable in our society. We have also gone further to mainstream mental health into peace building. And I'm sure those of us who have lived in, who are living in Ghana do appreciate when we talk about peace building, especially looking at the northern part of Ghana, there's often the need to let people understand. And most of these issues have mental health connotation, what we call intergenerational trauma, often neglected in the peace building agenda. And that is something that we have mainstream. So what have been our flagship programs? The drug abuse prevention, mental health and psychosocial support in prisons, trauma-informed care for alleged witches, and then trauma-informed care for sexual and gender-based survivors, and then mental health in peace building, and then also the big one, which is our youth advocacy, mental health advocacy. The understanding is that catch them young for mental health, and they will use the services when they grow up and do need the services. So going directly to your question, I will want to say that a report I got recently from the Gender Ministry that talks about some, Amnesty International talked about the support that the government gives to the women and less privileged in society, which is called the LEAP. One of their media reports indicated about 800 women in these alleged witch camps were supported by this institution. And so the numbers are huge. And so who are these women? The women that we work with as TOLEC are women that have been accused of witchcraft. And I think the accusation process, you have, Somtaba, Amnesty, have already mentioned. Somebody just gets a dream and feels that it is this old lady. And sometimes it is a powerless old lady, the helpless old lady who has been accused. And so we work with these people. And part of our work actually happened in 2023 when the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice actually approached us to say that we want you to do an assessment in 4 of the alleged witch camps. That is in Gambaga, Patenga, Ngani, and Kukuo. All of these located, 3 of them are located in northern region, 1 in the northeast region. And so we went out there looking to do an assessment. But after our assessment, the findings that we got scared us because they asked us to go do assessment for 300 women. We went in there and we went overboard. Almost over 400 women we assessed. And all of that we did realize that there was high level of what we call trauma from our search and our psychological tool that we administered. We also find a high level of what we call psychological distress. A number of them, Sontawa have already mentioned this, issues of depression. Depression was very high. And permit me to put figures to these so that our audience can appreciate what we are talking about. So when we did our work, we went to Patenga, as at that time, we were able to assess only 13 individuals at Patenga. At Kukuo, there were 131 women that we accessed. At Ngani, 103. And then at Gambaga, 88. This just falling in line with what SRAJ asks us to do. I don't want to present the data outside that one. And what we picked at that particular camp or that particular assessment that we did was that almost 73% of these women that were assessed experienced what is called psychological distress. 61% experienced depression or had symptoms of depression. Then 72% also exhibited symptoms of anxiety. And then 37% exhibited symptoms of stress. So looking at this, we said, this was just a one-time work we're asked to go and do and come back. But we also had a responsibility to our people. So we then decided as an institution, as part of our corporate social responsibility, giving back to the people. And giving back to the people means the less privileged in society. We wanted to also continue, even after the assessment, to continue to provide some level of support. Why then did we do this? We did this because currently in Ghana, the mental health challenges or the treatment gap in Ghana is 92%. That is among the population that we can say called the Ghanaian population. Yet there is another population which is excluded. These are the alleged witches. These are the prisons. You can just imagine. So it means that what it means is that in our alleged witch camps, the treatment gap is obviously 100%. They will not find that mental health support. And so we then decided to take it as upon ourselves as our corporate social responsibility to go back to these women and provide interventions. So what we go there to do is to do individual counseling, to do group counseling, and to provide psycho-education for these women. And since 2023, we have often embarked on one activity or the other to the camps. Just this year, we had planned a visit to the Gambaga witch camps and then the Patinga, and Patinga has been done now. We're just planning to execute that of Gambaga very, very soon. And we're hoping to reach the other 2 more camps that we have already done assessment in to provide this support. So this is how that the women that TOLEC works with, Total Life Enhancement Center Ghana, TOLEC, these are the women we work with, and our work with them started with assignment that was given to us by SRAJ, and following the findings, we thought that given the general population, and this is a very special population, you can just imagine the issues that are there, the trauma and all of those. And so we decided to take it upon ourselves to embark on at least quarterly psychological, mental health and psychosocial support trips to these camps, and then to provide a little support to them. And so in brief, these are the women that we work with. These are our findings, and what is still keeping us connected or glued to these women is because we think that they need specialized services, which is mental health and psychosocial support, which is lacking in the general population. And what it means is that they will suffer more if nobody is deliberate about them and ready to provide some level of support for them. So we have been doing the advocacies with these women, providing public education and challenging harmful health beliefs. The issues of mental health and psychosocial support and therapy, we are delivering this at our own level, at our own pace, but we are hoping to escalate this to ensure that every woman at the camp will have not less than a session in a quarter. And that is what we are anticipating that we will be able to do. But I must add that earlier this year, through the International Network Against Accusation of Witchcraft and Ritual Attacks, we got a small grant. And that was actually through, I think I got that link through Sarah, and then I applied, and fortunately we were granted that opportunity. So we are rolling out this and hoping that we can scale it up. This is just currently in 2 camps. We're hoping that we can scale this up to be able to reach many of the camps in the northern part of Ghana, and towards the process of reintegration and helping them live dignified lives if we don't even succeed in a reintegration process. Because these are going to be cumbersome, like Action Aid mentioned, resource constraint. Amnesty also mentioned the resources are not there to ensure that it's going to be costly towards the reintegration process. What can we do once we wait to secure what it looks like permanent is to ensure that these women don't go through what is called trauma and re-traumatizing, experiencing a lot of mental health challenges. And like Sontaba mentioned, some of them will tell you, I wish I don't exist. And what it means is that they are contemplating suicide. And if they are contemplating suicide and there's no a deliberate intervention in the area of mental health, what it means is that we one day just meet them in their room and they have executed their plan. And that's not what we want to hear. We want these women to live, to tell the story, to change the narrative. And that is why we think that with trauma, they cannot live this long. With depression, they can't live this long. With anxiety and stress and psychological distress, they can't live. So we want to provide holistic mental health care for these people to ensure that they are living quality life that will ensure that their stories are told and the help that they need is being gotten from the individuals that have the resources and the muscle and the passion. And I see what is bringing us all here together is passion, because the passion is what can change the story, and that is what that's all we do need. And all of us are coming from different perspectives. I think all my other previous panelists, excellent in their intervention, but we need a more collaborative approach. A more collaborative approach is what can win us this battle, is what can win us this struggle, and is what can give these women the dignity that they do deserve. And I think that as Atolek, we want to pledge to continue to provide mental health and psychosocial support, specialized, of course, because we have a team of professionals who are mental health professionals, psychologists, counselors, mental health nurses. And that's exactly what we want to do. So I am extending our services to all the other team members here to say that let's collaborate and make use of our services so that once you are doing your livelihood empowerment, your justice system, we are also ensuring that these women have a sound mind, even to be able to speak for somebody to defend them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Peter. Thank you to our panelists. Before we close out today, and we'll take some questions through chat, I want to memorialize Madame Aquadenta a little more, who was killed after being accused of witchcraft. Our expert guests today who have spoken, you are welcome to tell us about her story and what that Memorial Day that you just had for her, what that meant and how she was memorialized on that day.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. The Memorial Day for Aquadenta was organized by some members of KAWA alongside another women's group here in Accra. These are mainly women theologians and teachers and pastors. And we organized it to mark the 5th anniversary of her barbaric lynching, which happened on the 23rd of July, 2020. A number of lynchings and killings and murders have taken place of women who have been accused of witchcraft. A lot goes unreported. And a few have been reported widely, but nothing happened. Soon after the headlines, nothing happened. 2010, there was a big case like that in Tema. A woman was set ablaze because she was accused of being a witch, and she literally burned to death. And there was outrage and public outcry, and within 2 weeks, everything just went back to normal. So some of us were determined that Aquadenta's case will not just be let to vanish into thin air. And that's why we wanted to keep her memory alive. And as long as the bill is still not signed into law, we thought it was wise to commemorate the 5th anniversary. We brought the family down. We had portraits of these women, a lot of them who are still in the camps. We had their portraits, and we had some slogans written beneath their portraits, calling for the bill to be expedited, calling for the government to do whatever they can to get this bill passed in honor of Equia Dente, so that her death will not be in vain. It was a very powerful moment. We had actually the vice president of the country, who is a female herself, wanted to be there. She told us she was going to be there herself, and last minute something happened and took her away, and she sent the gender minister to come and represent her. So the minister was there. She addressed the gathering. Again, this was done with a coalition with Songtaba, with Action Aid, and other women organizations, as I said. So this was done on the 23rd of July, and it had a lot of media coverage to just keep the issue in the public domain, because the MP who's working with us has told us that politicians work with pressure. So keep the pressure up, keep talking about it in the media, and that's what politicians don't like. So they will work on the bill. So we shouldn't relax. So it was meant to commemorate the lady Equia Dente, and to keep the pressure on the government to pass the bill that is against the witchcraft accusations.
Do any more of our presenters today want to speak about Aqua Dente?
Yes, Sarah, let me jump in. So John here. I think that one of the lessons that I learned from, the commemoration was the fact that where 1, 2, 3 more committed team of individuals or organizations commit themselves to keep an issue on the banner and to contribute towards public policy influence, it has weight. In fact, the kinds of people that this commemoration drew and the big bang, if you look at the way the media landscape was bustling with reportage around the commemoration of Equia Dente's lynching, was very, very important. It is important in a number of significant respects. I emphasize the issue of the movement building, the multi-stakeholder relationship, which I have stated repeatedly that we need to keep it. We need to build the partnership. We need to strengthen it. We need people like you to join the CAWA with different resources and capacities for us to push forward for this government that made a commitment. And that's my second point. The level of commitment was not just by the CSOs, but I saw commitment of government through the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection. She made it abundantly clear to us that this government was willing and ready to reroute the bill back to Parliament. And I think we all clap to that. What remains is what I have been emphasizing, how we can remain strong. Amnesty International, Action Aid, Songtaba, Sunday Institute, and the host of others. How do we sustain the pressure that Professor Azuma is talking about on the Minister of Gender, Children, and Social Protection? And not only that, the Vice President of no mini country like Ghana. Then thirdly, for me, what we have from the commemoration is a social capital, which we must what? We must nurture and develop to not only ensure that we are addressing issues around, Equia Dente and alleged witches' rights, but even post the passage of the legislation, we do not have to take our feet off the pedal. We need to be able to ensure that government is coming up with the needed legislative frameworks to ensure that, like it happens in Ghana, the legislation does not stay in the books. It does not remain in the shelves that I'm seeing behind Sarah's back. We have to make sure that this law works and must administer justice to the people like Madam Equiadente, whose souls are still living aloft and looking at us. We need to ensure that many more women do not go through that hazardous, adventurous and wicked, barbaric, way of life. So I think that the level of commitment is high. We need to sustain our resources. We need to sustain our commitment. We need to keep the multi-stakeholder relationship. We need to ensure that together we are pushing for public policy influence that would lead to the ultimate objective of getting the legislation passed to safeguard the rights of women. Thank you.
Thank you to our incredible panelists for sharing the powerful stories of the survivors you work with and the hope you're creating through your work.
What we've heard today reinforces why organizations around the world are coming together to support survivors and seek change.
For those who want to learn more and support this work, there are many organizations that you can connect with. In addition to our panelist organizations, Amnesty International, the Sana Institute, Sangtaba, and ActionAid, there are other groups like Advocacy for Alleged Witches in Nigeria, the International Network Against Witchcraft Accusations and Ritual Attacks, and Stop Child Witch Hunts.
I also want to mention the International Alliance to End Witch Hunts. You can find educational resources at endwitchhunts.org/day. That is our webpage dedicated to World Day Against Witch Hunts. And we do have the links to the reports and the websites that we've talked about today and to the organizations.
Yes. At End Witch Hunts, our vision is a world without witch hunts, where survivors and their families receive justice, acknowledgement, and support.
You can find our podcasts, research, and ways to get involved at endwitchhunts.org. Together, we can create a world where everyone recognizes these violations of human dignity.
Thank you for joining us today and for opening your hearts to the experiences of survivors around the world. Please keep this conversation growing by sharing what you've learned with others and continuing to support the vital work of these organizations.
And if you're interested in becoming a collaborator or a supporter, either personally or through your organization, we need your action. Please reach out to us at endwitchhunts.org or contact one of the other organizations we've heard from today. Thank you.